Glad you're with us today on a Tuesday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. I am at a remote location, Barry at his home studio in Troy. As you can see, I have the sun rising in the east behind me here this morning. And boy, is it bright.
Yeah, it is. We can see your silhouette really well. And we can catch you just a little bit. Yeah, I am in my home studio. It's again a busy time of the year for me. I've got a game of some sort every night this week. Every day or every night. Last night we had WNIT action at Troy. Troy beat Chattanooga last night, and tonight we've got baseball at Troy. If there's anything that you took out of yesterday, and my buddy Ty over here on the River Region Straw Chat line has jumped around on it, I would have thought that it was a foregone conclusion that Jay Barker was the best athlete in his family. He ain't. His daughter, her name is Sarah Ashley Barker. Yeah. If you missed that game last night, hang on, everybody. We're talking Lady Tide basketball.
Yes.
First of all, Alabama women's basketball is in the NCAA tournament, or they were. Number 5 seed. Well, they lost yesterday. They're out of the tournament. Season's over. Against Maryland. Alabama, the 5 seed. Maryland, the 4 seed. Double overtime. Alabama was down 10 in the first quarter. They took a 17-point lead, the Tide did, in the third quarter. Y'all hang with me. Stay with me. And then Alabama had to hit three. Maryland hit a three-pointer to force overtime.
Say it so.
Yep. Sarah Ashley Barker. I mean, Alabama was down in the first overtime. But with 0.7 of a second left, Maryland fouls Sarah Ashley Barker. That's Jay Barker's daughter. And they fouled her on a three-pointer. Stone cold, she hits all 3 free throws to send it to the second overtime, and Alabama couldn't hang on. Sarah Ashley Barker scored 45
I'll answer your
points
question
in the game.
That's
45
amazing.
for Sarah Ashley Barker. She
Amazing.
scored more points in a postseason game than yards her father threw for in a national championship game. Maybe.
That is correct.
I don't know.
No, that's correct. I think that's not even close. I think
the numbers add up.
Long margin. Yeah, I think she's got that beat by a wide margin. Now, if I do recall, her father was a Heisman finalist. Must have been a weak year. Must have been a weak field. That's all I can say. And to his credit, I think he improved dramatically from his sophomore year to his senior year, because that game in which you're talking about, he was a sophomore when they beat Miami for the national title. Or actually, the defense beat Miami for a national title.
The whole team gets credit for it.
Yeah. I did not see the game, Barry. But Greg tells us it was a 17-point meltdown. Wait a minute. Was Alabama up by 17 at one time?
Yep. Alabama was down 10 in the first quarter. They were up 17 in the third quarter. And then Maryland wins it in double overtime, 111-108 to advance to the Sweet 16. Alabama's season is over. They did lead by 17.
Oh, great.
In the third quarter. Couldn't hang on to it. So they are done. But regulation and 2 overtimes.
Where have I heard that before?
Is there
Greg, sounds like
any
a men's
chance,
game.
if there's nothing else on, not a thing else on, if every other channel in America is devoted to, I don't know, a home and garden or something.
Yeah.
And it goes to double overtime. Our buddy Ty says he watched the last couple of minutes in regulation and the 2 overtimes of Bammers women's basketball.
Man,
Could you have done it?
me?
2 overtimes of women's basketball, even though it is in the NCAA tournament,
Yeah.
even though it is, win in advance, lose and go home. Even if you had a compelling individual performance like Jay Barker's daughter, Sarah Ashley Barker, would John be one of those saying, hang on, honey, y'all be quiet. We're in the second overtime here. Women's hoops. Could you have made it?
Maybe, believe it or not, Barry, I didn't even have a television on last night. Excuse me, until a late West time zone game tipped. I did see a little of that, more on that later.
Yeah.
But at that time of the day, I did not. So, but in saying that, if I would have been channel surfing and I stumbled upon it and went, whoa, look at this. This game's about to go into overtime. Lady tied. Let me take a look. I probably would have done that. Now, hunkering down with the bowl of popcorn for the opening tip.
No. I'm not even wasting my time asking you that.
Yeah, but if I stumble upon it and see that, oh, wow, look at this. This is good. This is tight. Yeah, I probably would have. Yeah, probably would have done that.
I don't believe you. I have a hard time believing that. Well, anyway, that was in the NCAA women's tournament.
There's a lot of circumstances that would have been going around that. I mean, if something else was going on, if there was a big crowd, if I don't know. But if it was just kind of just me and the missus channel surfing, yeah, I'd have probably done that. Probably so.
Okay.
I'm going to give myself some credit.
I get so. John said it was a great game except for the outcome, but the tide was there. Where were the Aubs? Oh, that's right. Getting a new coach from where? Love the women's basketball smack talk. We have arrived on this program when our buddy John Dent, who, of course, the obligatory comment about our appearance, either me with a hat or John with his jacket, there's always some comment about how we look. Now that he got that over with, he's talking women's basketball smack. Oh, where were the Aubs? They weren't even in the tournament. Bring it,
John. You're leading the smack pack. At this point, early in the show, John Dent leading the smack pack here on Longshore and McKnight. How about our man John from Wetumpka checking us out in Madrid, Spain this morning, Barry? How about that?
Yeah. He's a Facebook friend of mine. I've been tracking him. They flew out to Madrid. I want to say it was yesterday, John, day before yesterday. John says, good morning from Madrid, Spain. Ran into some Auburn and Alabama fans here at a bullfight.
Oh,
John, you had a bullfight? He said, by the way, one matador was severely injured.
Ooh.
He said, taken in an ambulance, but he did survive. Look,
well, good to hear that.
We mess up our sports sometimes. We're a little bit less than happy with the direction college athletics is taking. But at least we ain't got bullfighting. At least, in NASCAR, maybe it's kind of the same because, people have lost their lives who are competing in NASCAR. But at least we're not saying, golly, I hope he makes it. That bull got him with the horn right in the gut there. Ooh, man, that looks painful. Golly.
Wasn't it Lacey Underall that went to bullfights?
On acid,
Yeah, she got tired of dreary old Manhattan or something.
Yeah, having fun all the time.
Yeah, skinny skiing. That was it. Skinny skiing and going to bullfights on acid.
On
That's
acid,
right.
Yeah.
That was Lacey Underall. Wow.
Yeah.
So, some lady basketball. Sorry to hear that Alabama has been eliminated. Didn't Sarah Ashley Barker, am I getting her name correct?
Yeah.
Didn't she start her career at Georgia?
She did, and transferred to Alabama. I don't know. The academics were too hard. I'm kidding. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whoa.
But women's basketball.
I wonder if is she WNBA worthy?
I've seen her play. I think she could. I honestly do. I'm hesitant because honestly, I have not watched a lot of WNBA in my lifetime, and I love women's basketball, but have not watched a lot of WNBA. Maybe, if I'm honest, if I think about it, I don't know that I've watched any NBA in my
Oh, you don't know what you're missing. Oh, man.
lifetime. So
Oh, you don't know. You haven't watched WNBA, not
WNBA,
NBA.
WNBA. I've
I'm with
watched
you.
NBA. Yeah, WNBA
And
in
I
my
don't
lifetime.
get off on a WNBA tangent, but I have noticed that there have been more, I assume, more and more WNBA players endorsing products because I see commercials with female
Yeah.
basketball players. But I still wonder, that league has got to be hemorrhaging money. I mean, how do they make a profit? Which I understand they don't and they never have. And it is just, the NBA just supports it and props it up and keeps it going because it just is a drain. But I guess when you make a deal like the NBA did years ago, which still blows my mind, you got money to burn. So let's burn it on the WNBA.
Yeah. The one of the stars of the NBA is a lady named Angel Reese, who I'm not a big fan of. I have watched clips of her playing, and she's demanding. She had a demand on a video podcast that until the WNBA players start getting paid more, they ought to strike. Well, you can imagine how that went over.
Yeah.
You can imagine how that went over. Fine, sure, absolutely. Knock yourself out. Another one of my favorite longshoreisms. Knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out. See how many people follow your lead.
Yes.
I don't get that. All right, Barry. Yeah. So here's today. I've been looking at my bracket, seeing what I'm going to do from this point forward, with some Sweet 16 action coming beginning on Thursday. Been looking at a lot of that. How many SEC teams will advance? I wonder, a lot of people are wondering, a lot of talk nationally about the SEC and the number of teams that not only that they had in the tournament, but how many they've got in the Sweet 16. How many of them will advance? How many of them will get to the Final Four? I am still, Barry, this is probably one of the reasons I couldn't watch lady tournament basketball yesterday or anything else, because I am really, I don't want to say upset. That's not the right word. Concerned, maybe, is a good way to put it. People aren't giving Auburn enough love. I mean, you mentioned it yesterday, that the odds of Auburn winning the national championship are below Duke, Houston, Florida. Auburn's the overall number one seed the last time I checked.
Yeah.
We've been talking about how Auburn's going to win the national title since back in November. Now people, are poo-pooing on Auburn, a term you used yesterday, about rolling Toomer's corner. Why should we be poo-pooing their fun? Boy, did we get some reaction on that clip on Instagram.
Yeah, because I said poo-pooing and toilet paper in the same sentence, and everybody's like, oh, look, geez, we're all grown people here.
Somebody told me to mind my own business. Kids having fun. What's it to me? Why do I care? Man,
yes.
Sensitive subject. There are certain things I know are sensitive. Toomer's corner is one of them.
Ain't no doubt. Mostly because you're wrong about it, but not totally wrong.
But that's not going to stop.
Some things you're right about it.
Why is Auburn not getting the love?
Because they're not playing as well as they did earlier in the year, to be honest. When they were steamrolling everybody. I still think they're viable. If you look at it from the perspective, purely the Auburn perspective, this is probably the way they'd rather have it. Auburn traditionally does better when they're not the focal point of everybody all the time looking around and saying, oh my gosh, people are expecting us to be national champions, or people are projecting us to win the league. Auburn's better lying in the weeds and waiting and letting Duke have all of the accolades and letting
like
Florida, everybody all of a sudden is looking at Florida thinking they're the king of the SEC. It's better for Auburn this way. Better.
Let me write that. I got to write that down. Lying in the weeds.
Lying in the weeds, letting everybody else get all the accolades, and at the very end, making their move. I think, a lot of times they don't. We've talked about that a bunch, but this is probably the best scenario for them.
I like
to be
that.
honest.
Does that is it just appropriate for sports, or can it be for other things involving Auburn? Lying in the weeds. I don't know. Taking a private jet to Sellers, Indiana.
No,
that doesn't apply. Okay.
No. Maybe that's why Harvey Updike brought all that plant poison, because he was thinking he was going to poison the weeds.
I don't think he was hiding. He got on a national radio show and let everybody know what he did. Oh.
On that note, yes, in the first segment of our Tuesday show, we have talked women's basketball and bullfighting. Get ready.
That?
Who knows?
Where else are you going to get that? Where else are you going to get that, ladies and gentlemen?
We got
challenge you. Nowhere.
We got viewers in Madrid, Spain, and with deference to him, at some point, I promise you, at some point, we're going to bring up the fact that opening day of the Major League Baseball season starts on Thursday. Officially, the opening day. If we can talk bullfighting, we can talk Major League Baseball at some point. Well,
the long, hot summer. That's all about baseball. Here we go. Today, Brian Matthews at the bottom of this hour from auburnsports.com. At the top of the next hour, Travis Ryer on YouTube, talking Tide. We're also going to get into the Phantoms Daily Dog. South Carolina is our team today. How many wins will they get in 2025? We'll talk about the Gamecocks win total. And Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland topic wheel. It's gaining steam. A lot of people are liking Gurn's topics. He'll present some to us later today as well.
We are underway. We have lit the candle on the Tuesday live show. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Well, the Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers are really hot in college basketball. And so are the deals at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Alabama and Northwest Florida's largest volume Ram truck dealer is Stivers in Prattville. And at Stivers, they have the largest selection of Ram trucks priced at thousands less than other dealers. How about a 2025 Ram Bighorn 4x4 crew cab with savings of up to $15,000 off sticker price? Also at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, they have fantastic savings on the entire Jeep lineup, like the Wranglers and Jeep Grand Cherokees. Head over to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, where Price sells cars and trucks.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Welcome back into Longshore and McKnight. Again, John at a remote location. I am in the main studio here. Interesting comment here from Kirk Lehman. He said, Bill from Baltimore said this. Bill from Baltimore said, an all SEC Final Four is still very much a possibility. There are 7 teams left. there could be a lot of it, to be honest with you, is dependent upon the University of Alabama, because they are the only SEC team left in the East region. There are two SEC teams in the Midwest region. That's Kentucky and Tennessee, but they both play each other. They're both, not going to play in the Final Four. In the West region, you got two. They could meet in the West region final, Florida and Arkansas. And in the South, Auburn and Ole Miss could meet in the regional final for the Final Four. So, yeah, there could be 4 teams in the SEC, but a lot of that is up to Alabama. They need to get through BYU, and then the regional final will be either, if they do get through BYU, which is the first game on Thursday, they would play in the regional final against the winner of Duke and Arizona. And John has already given his opinion and prediction on whether or not that will indeed happen.
Barry, and I don't want to, I don't want to be, Debbie Downer here.
Yeah.
But Alabama's not beating Duke. They're going to play, if they beat BYU, they're going to play Duke, but they're not beating Duke. So there again, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I know it could happen. Stranger things have happened before. But I just do not like Alabama's chances of beating the Duke Blue Devils. So I don't see Alabama making the Final Four. I do see Auburn making the Final Four, but I don't see Alabama. I mean, I just don't see it.
Does anybody get these key phrases in regular life that something's coming? Whenever somebody tells you and they say, blah, 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 this. With that being said, the next thing they say will totally contradict what they just said. Auburn's great. Auburn's wonderful. Love Auburn, But with that being said, Auburn stinks. They're terrible about it. Also,
I'll be the first to tell you, Barry, if we come on this program, let me look here. The weekend of March 29th through the 30th, that's the Elite Eight. That's where Alabama would face Duke.
Right.
Whatever date that is, and the next time we come on the air, I'll be the first to tell you I'm wrong and apologize. I don't think I need to apologize. I'll just tell you I'm wrong. So I just did not see Alabama be, and I don't know how many times I've said this, but, Mark Sears is not playing at the level that I think he played last year, goes in spurts. I know the stat lines can look good at the end of the games. I think the last 5 minutes of a game is really, if he could play the whole game like he plays the last 5 minutes, that'd be pretty cool. Too many lapses, too many turnovers. Unless they get signed up, they're not going to beat a team like Duke.
With that being said, when somebody tells you and they say, with all due respect, that means you're fixing to get slammed, right? Whenever
that means,
John,
hey, no offense, but I'm going to offend you
offense.
anyway.
That means they're about to say something incredibly offensive. Anytime John begins a sentence by saying, look, I hate to be a Debbie Downer about all this, you better get ready. Here you go. Number one, I don't think he really hates it. Number two, you better get ready. You better brace yourself, because here it comes. I knew whenever he said that. I hate it. I don't want to be, Mr. Negative or Debbie Downer, but Alabama ain't making the Final Four.
And look, I'll be the first to tell you, it'd be great if they do. I'll be the first to tell you, congratulations, Nate Oates. You've done a fine job. I'm just not sure at this point they've got what it takes, but I'm pulling for them.
Yeah.
Just like I'm pulling for all these other SEC teams. I'm pulling. I do want to. Whoa, wait a minute. Barry, I'm really interested to see Auburn make the Elite Eight. I want to know, A, are they going to roll Toomer's corner again? And B, will it be against Michigan State or Ole Miss? How about if they play the Rebels in the Elite Eight? That would be pretty cool.
I've already said I'm a believer in the Rebels. I've actually seen them play from the sidelines at their game against North Carolina, and they look pretty good. I mean, they almost gave up an entire lead against him, but I don't know. It's Michigan State, they're rough. They're
Yeah,
t-
they
I
are
mean,
tough.
I like those. Yeah.
Um,
Somebody says that you remind them of like you're reporting from the Afghan war. You got the desert behind you. You're wearing your vest
well,
and
it's
everything like that.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Barry. I did move locations during the break because the sun was just beating down on me
Right. Yeah.
in
Good
terms of
move.
warmth and glare. So I'm actually sitting outside on a porch, and a lot of people have been texting me wanting to know where I am. I'm actually down in South Alabama near Perdido. Perdido Bay is behind me. That's what you're looking at behind me. So the water is Perdido Bay, and behind it, it's really neat, Barry, because I've never seen this before, but that is a cloud bank behind me, and that is actually the state of Florida. I'm usually looking at some condos and some houses off into the distance on the other side
Right.
of Perdido Bay, but this morning, that is actually a cloud bank that's over there that's kind of covering up that strip of land that meets the Gulf of America, which is on the other side of that right there. But yeah, so that's actually Perdido Bay behind me, and the Gulf of America is behind that. And hopefully, by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, that cloud bank will have dissipated, and you can dissipate it. Isn't that a weather term? Don't you love that?
Yeah.
And
Dissipated like
what's
Alabama's
behind me
chances
there.
to make the Final Four. That's
Hey,
what
see,
dissipated means.
you might hear
Yeah.
some birds and stuff in the background. We're not trying to give you the Masters feel, but just to let you know, the little lady has to go to New Orleans today, so it was just shorter to go from here than from Montgomery. So the little ones go back to school today. So we had a little spring break down here, and they went home yesterday so they could go to school today. And we just
Yeah.
stayed an extra day, and she's got to go to New Orleans today, and I'm heading back to Montgomery after the show today.
There you go.
There you
There
have it.
you go.
There you have it.
Yes. So we have on the docket here today, of course, a visit. Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, Travis Ryer on YouTube, recapping the weekend a little bit, see if Travis agrees with John's prognostication of the Tide, Alabama's chances against BYU on Thursday, talk with Brian about the Auburn-Michigan game on Friday night, how things are going. Does Auburn historically trend well when they're laying in the weeds like they kind of are right now? Getting a lot of NCAA tournament stuff in. Plus, heck, spring practice is going on right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
speak.
you brought that up there, because you brought up Major League Baseball, which is absolutely well, quickly before I get to that. So don't forget. Remember when we were broadcasting at MGM last week?
Yes.
And I was way to a person, and during the break, I told you, I said, he played baseball at Auburn.
Right.
You went, really? Yeah. The guy played baseball at Auburn. So I saw his wife that night. I said, hey, ran into Dennis today out at the airport. He and a bunch of other guys, I'm sure they're back by now. They were on their way to spring training. These guys go every year.
Nice.
They make the loop around all the spring training parks, and they go check it out, spend 3-4 days seeing all these games and whatnot. They're baseball nuts. They love it. I'll see probably some of them tonight, and they'll tell me all about it.
Nice.
So you mentioned baseball. I'm thinking, man, Major League Baseball. Is it Thursday you said it starts?
Thursday. I mean, they already had some games in Japan, but Thursday is the day everybody gets going. By the way, the Braves open in San Diego with an afternoon game on Thursday, which is great. There's a ton of afternoon action on opening day.
That could watch out. Could be the Phantom's daily dog. You never know. Could be some baseball action. Also on Thursday, and I'm going to ask Travis this, but I think I'm correct. Alabama football will hold their first scrimmage on Thursday, like 2 days from right now. I thought those were normally on Saturdays, so selected people could come watch. Seems like it's a little harder on Thursday than it would be on a Saturday.
There's a reason for that. It's because they don't necessarily want you to watch anymore.
Huh. So where am I going to get my intel on what happened at the scrimmage if they're not letting the or certain people I know go to these scrimmages anymore?
I'm not sure the intel from a spring scrimmage is all it's cracked up to be. Anyway.
Well, I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I get
so,
that. I get
spring
that.
practice legends who are, riding the pine at Murray State in the fall. Well, let's take a break.
Real quick before we go to break, Bob from Pike Road throwing it back in my face, and I predicted Alabama would lose to Kentucky in football. Okay, all right, I missed there. I get it. But I feel a lot better that they ain't beating Duke in basketball. I will tell you that.
Bob has missed a few as well. All God's children have missed a few. It happens. About half past the hour, we're in our first hour of our live show. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times await. Get some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
Okay, here we are back at it, about 27 minutes to the top of the hour on this Tuesday. Our man Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, joining us as he does each and every Tuesday. Good morning, Brian. How you doing today?
Good morning. I'm not blurred out like you are. You on secret assignment, John?
Yeah, doesn't he look like he's reporting from the Gulf War or something like that?
Yeah, I've got some lighting issues this morning, Brian.
All right.
Now, out of anything that we may get from Brian Matthews today, and we love his work, auburnsports.com, BMAT's Monday Musings is absolute must-read stuff. The news of the day, I didn't realize Guns N' Roses is going on tour in May, Brian.
How about that? Still going strong after all these years, right? So
I can't believe Slash is still alive, to be honest.
I mean, is
they're all
Axl
still
Rose
alive, which is amazing. Yeah.
Is Axl Rose still alive?
Yeah. Yeah, Brian on his BMAT's Monday Musings, on his musical journey, he points out that whenever Geffen Records signed Guns N' Roses, Slash spent most of his money on heroin immediately. How is he? People take care of themselves, they eat right and all that kind of stuff, and they don't make it as long as Slash did, and he's spending hundreds of thousands on heroin. I can't figure it out.
It's kind of a natural preservative, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe so. Now, first of all, we were talking earlier today about the odds makers. BetMGM have right now their favorite to win the NCAA tournament is Duke.
Okay.
Then Florida is right behind him. There's a little bit of room in the odds, between Duke and Florida, then Houston and Auburn basically are neck and neck after that. John laments the fact that, Auburn's #1 seed, they're not getting a lot of love from Vegas on that. And I pointed out, Auburn probably works better from that kind of a perspective. Why do you think all that is? Well, what is it about Auburn that doesn't seem to be commanding the respect that I think their resume deserves?
Probably the finish they had, and then the way they played against Alabama State, having the coach and players have to call out the rest of the team. Yeah, I think that has I wouldn't say negative, but certainly has a effect on the way other outside forces view Auburn right now. And I would agree. I think Duke, if you watch their first 2-round games, they're the team that is taking care of business, not holding anything back. They've dominated both the teams they played so far. So I would call them the favorite. That doesn't mean Auburn can't beat them, but that would be the team if I had to pick as favorite. And then coming into the tournament, I thought Florida was probably the team that was playing the best in the country and probably deserved to be considered the team to beat. But Auburn has lost to those two teams, but they've beaten Houston. Some of the teams they've lost to, they've come back and beaten. So I think this is going to be a very competitive regional, championship this next week. And then if Auburn get the Final Four, I think it could be a fantastic Final Four.
Yeah, and Brian, when Barry and I were talking about this yesterday, and he's giving me these numbers, I'm thinking I'll take Auburn all day at plus 525. If I put $100 down to win 525 for Auburn to win it all, to me, it's the best number on the board.
I don't have 525 at the moment, but I might agree with you there.
Theoretically speaking,
all you need is 100 to win 525.
Okay,
yeah.
well, I like that. I like those odds.
Yeah.
I think when Auburn is healthy and when they're motivated, and I think they're both things right now. I know Chad Baker-Mazara took a shot to the hip, but he felt like he'd be 100%, by Friday. I think they are a dangerous team. They've proven that, right? They've got on the road and beaten all these great teams. They've won the Maui Invitational. They did all this great stuff through February before that slide happened there at the end of the year. And if they can get that mojo back, they are certainly a team that could win it all.
The win against Creighton on Saturday, do you kind of feel that? I want people to understand Creighton has one of the best big men in the country. They are a really good team, and Auburn wins that game by double digits. Did you see signs from that Auburn team?
Even when Auburn trailed at halftime, I thought they were playing much better. I just thought Creighton shot the lights out 60-something% from three, and you just felt like, they're not going to do that again. Auburn is going to adjust a little bit and take them off the line a little bit better. And they're just not going to shoot that well unless they're going to be, Villanova from 1985 or whatever that year was, right? When they shot 70% from the field and beat Georgetown. But overall, I'd say Auburn sort of got their groove back against them. But that is just one game. They need to prove that they can, take a week off of practice and not slip back into kind of that funk that they've been in for the last couple of weeks. So we'll see what it looks like against Michigan. I think this is a team Auburn matches up with fairly well. Michigan's got a couple of bigs inside, but I think guard-wise, small forward-wise, or whatever you want to call it, wing-wise, I think Auburn matches up really well.
We're always looking ahead, Brian, and certainly your thoughts about Michigan. I was going to ask you that, and I appreciate that breakdown because I'm in agreement with you there. Any thoughts about who Auburn might face after that? The Ole Miss Michigan State winner, obviously Michigan State, the 2 seed coming out of that side. Ole Miss a 6 seed, but certainly an All SEC Elite 8 would be pretty cool.
It would be, and it will be awesome if Ole Miss could make that type of run. I think Michigan State's a really good team.
Yeah.
I do think they're the right team to have as the number 2 in Auburn's region. Maybe not as good as some other 2s like Alabama, but certainly very talented. Excuse me. And they got a great coach who knows how to win. So I think that's going to be a tough one for Ole Miss. I think Michigan State's got some size too, which is really one of the reasons I think Auburn had so much success against them, this past season and during the tournament, just because Auburn was able to take advantage of that size disadvantage they had. But we'll see. They are a hot team, and they remind me a little bit of Auburn in 2019, the way they just started making shots, right? They just got guys just dropping 3 small over. So if they can continue that, maybe they can be that team that makes that run.
It seems like with every team, Brian, with every good team, you always got that one guy that the reporters know. If everything else is kind of boring, nothing really is much going on, we can go to that guy and get some good copy. Or the coaches know that if, they need to throw somebody up in front of the media after a game, or, there's some sort of a special event that he's going to represent. This year it's Dylan Cardwell, who is that guy, that fresh, effervescent personality for sure.
Yes.
But it does not mask the fact that he has become and I don't think he was early, he has become a really, really integral part of this team's production.
Especially defensively when he's on the floor. He was plus 24, plus minus. So that was by far the best on the team. I think the next Auburn player was plus 14. So that just tells you the impact he had when he was on the floor. And then he's doing a lot of things. He's scoring a little bit here, rebounding, assisting, blocking shots, getting steals, just being that leader on and off the court for Auburn. I just thought what he did in those 50 hours between the end of the Alabama State game and the start of the Creighton game was the difference in Auburn coming out there and playing the way they did.
Brian, what are you expecting in Atlanta? I mean, to me, I'm expecting an Auburn home game. I mean, 100 miles, a little over 100 miles from Auburn to Atlanta. I got to think the Auburn fan base is going to show up just in mass.
I agree. I think a lot of them kind of decided, hey, we're going to be in Atlanta. We're not going to be able to go to both Lexington and Atlanta, so we're going to save up and go to Atlanta. I know the tickets are already, skyrocketing on secondary markets, right? So that tells me that there's a lot of excitement for that, and a lot of people want those tickets. And Auburn is in the sweet spot as far as being close to Auburn, and also being close to a lot of alumni and people that want to see Auburn play basketball and support the team. So it should be a really partisan Auburn crowd, I believe.
I don't know how you guys do it. I know you've got a really experienced staff and everything, but there's so much going on, covering a women's basketball coach hiring and spring practice as well. Can you give a general vibe on how spring is going for the football team?
Yeah, it started last week, and we didn't have any interviews or reports on it. That tells you how spring football has changed in the state from just 5 years ago. But I think, and I'm going to write about this at some point, I think there's a greater sense of urgency with this team, and understanding that they need to start winning some games and start competing at a higher level. We'll see if that takes place on the field this fall, right? I'm Missouri on that, so to speak. But I get that feeling from them, and I think I felt all along that Freeze put a great staff together that get along, quality coaches, quality individuals, quality recruiters. This is now their year 3. They've got a lot of their players here, right? And, that they don't have to pick little pieces left over from, some failed regimes there. So this is their time to start to step up and start winning some games and competing in the top half of the SEC.
Yeah, and I'm with you there, Brian. And I think also in year 3, and I've said this about Alabama as well, you just can't have games like we saw last year. With Alabama, it was Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. With Auburn, Vanderbilt was a game they don't need another game like that. I think if you see games like that, that's a warning sign. This is trouble. So if they can get over those type games, there's going to be some losses. But I've said this forever: if your losses are competitive and you're in it and you're fighting hard, and it's a field goal or less than a touchdown, but you played a great game. To me, that's a lot different from a game where, you're going, whoa, what happened here? There's no way this should have happened. They got to eliminate those type games as well.
Yeah, the fourth quarter collapses killed Auburn. They lost those games, and I just think it killed the support. It killed the team. It killed the confidence. That's just a terrible way, to go through a season when you don't feel confident going in the fourth quarter that you can hold a lead or beat a team, right? And in crunch time, they were the opposite. Mm-hmm. So I've been around teams like that. It's just hard to break out of that. And Auburn wasn't able to. And the first time they're tested, I think this year is going to be a huge, test for them, right? Everybody's going to be watching. Is this team going to be able to finish a game and finish, and get a win in those tight, close fourth quarter matchups?
It used to be, and I'm going to get back in the memory bank. It used to be that spring football, particularly spring scrimmages, were separate the men from the boys, knock down
Mhm.
dragouts, and they were true games. And, you had fans out there that would, write down notes and share them with their buddies. And that wasn't that long ago. Spring
Nope.
practice, the approach is so much different now. There's so much less live stuff. And the scrimmages are, tend to be a lot more situational. Am I right about all that, Brian?
No, I think you're spot on. I think it's more of an NFL style, the way that Auburn and a lot of teams now across the country run their spring. I think a lot of the testing guys' mental and physical toughness happens in winter workouts and summer workouts, and not necessarily, during two-a-days on the field and whatever degree temperature in the spring or certainly in August that we've seen, in the past. The teams I covered for Tuberville, they were all about that, right? They would push those players to the absolute limit during spring and especially fall during that August heat. But that's no longer the case anymore. And I don't think that's Auburn. I think that's across the board. Almost every school in the country is running their programs more like that.
Yeah, I think the day of the spring game that we knew of and the big fanfare and all that type
Yep.
stuff are slowly dying. And I get it. I mean, a lot of people enjoyed it. That was, for some, was the only way they could come experience, Auburn or Alabama or Georgia, whatever school they rooted for. It was the only way they could get an eyeball on them. But I think, what happened at Nebraska and some schools around the country. I mean, these teams were getting poached. I mean, the world got to see what they had, and they went, "Whoa, we want that guy. We want that guy." And they said, "Forget it. We're done with this type of stuff."
Coaches are absolutely against it now. They do not want to put their players on display, especially on TV or in front of a crowd that can just show up and buy a ticket, especially right before the transfer portal opens. So this could be Auburn's last spring game. Would not be surprised at all. And I don't even know what to expect on April 12th when the A-Day game is. Is it going to be a real game, or are they just going to really sort of cut it up a little bit and try to be as vanilla as possible?
Oh, you have just sent several people into absolute defib, I believe, on that. But I get it, Brian. I do.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you about the quarterback position, and it goes. I guess the belief or the line is, well, if you're going to transfer, you're expecting to play. I'm not transferring to sit on the bench. Is that the case at Auburn? Is there any quarterback competition this spring in your mind, or has that been set?
I don't have a firm answer from a coach's perspective on that, but I think there's absolutely a competition right now. I'm not quite as 100% sold on Jackson Arnold. I think there are some reasons why he wasn't productive and wanted to leave Oklahoma, namely the offensive coordinator and the offense played a part in that. But he hasn't been, as good as you want him to be to just hand him over the starting job, in my opinion. So I've also heard great things about Deuce Knight. So I think he's a guy that, although raw, has a chance to do that. And then I've got the kid from Stanford coming in this summer. But yeah, I think in the end it will be Jackson Arnold. That's certainly my expectation. I just don't think you should crown him the starter right away. I think he needs to compete and get better and take a step forward in his development from what he did last year at Oklahoma.
My final question, actually, I was just about to wrap it up. Somebody texted me, and it's a good question. I want to ask, do you know anything at all about the health and status of Alex McPherson?
Yes, he had a surgery. I don't know the extent of it, but I think it was pretty serious, and he is doing better. He is going through spring. He's starting to put weight back on, and he's competing for that job this spring with, and I think the special teams coach said they had 5 or 6 kickers on the roster this spring. So there's a bunch of kickers there, all competing, and we talked to the coach yesterday, and he mentioned that he thought Alex was doing pretty good. So I think that's a great sign for him.
I know Uncle Keith's Red Sauce sponsors are your Monday musings, and Barry touched on it when we brought you on this morning. Guns N' Roses back at it. I thought Axl Rose was dead. I didn't even know he was still alive anymore. But man, no, unbelievable. They're back touring. Unreal.
Yep. It really is. I've got a personal Guns N' Roses story. Back in the spring of '87, I went to Albany, Georgia, I'm pretty sure, to see Motley Crue. and this band called Guns N' Roses opening for him. I'd never heard of him in my life, didn't know anything about him. And I am so ashamed to admit that I hardly paid any attention to him at all. I was like, let's bring on the
Wow.
crew. I'm ready to
Yeah.
party.
Yes.
And
Dr.
man,
Feelgood. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
what I missed out, because I don't know, what, 6 months, a year later, they're the greatest band in the world, right? For
Okay.
that 4 or 5 year
Here's
run.
another trivia for you, Brian. The first time I ever heard a Guns N' Roses song was in a Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry movie. It might have been the last Dirty Harry movie that he did. Wow. I can't remember what the name of it was, but this song played, and I'm thinking, wow, what is that? And it was good. The world had really been exposed to him, was in that Dirty Harry movie.
Yep. Well, Appetite for Destruction, which is the best-selling debut album of all time, it basically went a year without anybody noticing after it was released. And it took one of the Geffen higher-ups to cajole MTV into playing it 3 nights in a row, just one time, and that made the difference. It started being requested more and more, and they just blew up after that.
It was the Deadpool. That was the Dirty Harry movie in 1988.
Oh, yeah, creepy
that was the
movie.
one that it was about a rock and roll singer.
There you go.
That was part of the plot of it. The Deadpool.
1988. Wow. All brought to you by Uncle Keith's Red Sauce, which is big where John is. It's big all over the state of Alabama and the Southeast. Am I right, Brian?
Homegrown, made right here, a local business, delicious salsa. Publix, Piggly Wiggly, Renfro's. You can get it in Auburn and sometimes Montgomery at Kroger's. Delicious. Give it a try. You will love it. You can order online. BMAT15 get you 15% off that order.
How do you subscribe to auburnsports.com?
Yep. You just go online at auburnsports.com. It's an easy process. Sign up in just minutes. We will continue to roll out our coverage of basketball, football practice. Baseball took 2 out of 3 at Kentucky. I thought was terrific this weekend. Softball is struggling, no doubt, but we're still having updates there, and everything else happening at Auburn, including Coach Vickers' introductory press conference yesterday. All that more, auburnsports.com.
Thank you, Brian, as always, my friend. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Appreciate you. Thanks very much.
That's Brian Matthews on our City of Montgomery guest hotline. Need to know what's going on in and around the capital city? It's easy. Just check it out at montgomeryal.gov. Well, Barry, hopefully as the sun is rising behind me, you'll be able to see me a little bit better due to the lighting situation. But, I kind of like the Middle East reporter look today.
Yeah. Jim, John's right. Jim Carrey was in Deadpool. That was his. Might have been his. He was in a movie with Lauren Hutton called, I don't know, it's called Once Bitten or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he was in Deadpool. Liam Neeson was in Deadpool too.
I was about to say he sure was.
Yep.
Liam Neeson was in that, and of course the one between that was then it was Sudden Impact, then The Enforcer, Magnum Force, and Dirty Harry the original. Those were the 5.
Yep.
They had a Dirty Harry marathon on a week or so ago, and I'm watching it, loving it, just eating it up, going, man, they just don't make movies like that anymore.
They sure don't set them in San Francisco anymore. That's for sure.
No.
Yep. Well, let's take a break. Coming up in just a little bit, Travis Ryer on YouTube. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. Their licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946. Hey, Marianne from Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry joining us here today. Of course, Marguerite's 8163 Vaughn Road in Peppertree. And Marianne, tell us where you are today. That's a very interesting piece of equipment I see.
Exactly. Yeah. I promise it's not grabbing out of my head, but this is our microscope. We're not in the science lab, but jewelry, as you know, has lots of different components. And at Marguerite's, we have a fully trained staff. Myself and Benji and Lyle have all gone to GIA, which stands for the Gemological Institute of America. I did my training in Carlsbad, California. Lyle and Benji did their training in New York. And they train us to look at the anatomy of a diamond or the anatomy of a gemstone. So we look through this microscope and we can do other tests like RA and different things with acids and different types of chemicals, and through different types of magnification and UV light, we can tell if a gemstone is in fact natural or synthetic or what type of stone it is. If great grandma had this green stone that she wore every day, we can tell you if it's an emerald or a peridot, lots of different things. But again, just like we've said before, we're a full service jeweler at Marguerite. So we can help you get in the know when it comes to your stone, tell you about the anatomy of your diamond, or tell you what the heck it is.
Yep, that is fantastic, Marianne. A full service jeweler. That's so important. Where you located? Give us your hours of operation so our viewers and listeners can come see you.
Most definitely. 8163 Vaughn Road in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center. We're close to Chappie's Deli. We're open 7 days a week, 10 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Go by and see them, folks. Marianne and that staff can help you with all of your jewelry needs. Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks.
All right, back at it here on Longshore and McKnight. A couple of minutes to the top of the hour. John wanted to know, John Dent, when does Alabama conclude their spring practice? I don't know the exact date, but I mentioned earlier their first scrimmage is this Thursday. And they usually have, 2 scrimmages in the spring? They're normally on Saturdays, but they're having the first one on Thursday. I'm going to double check with Travis on that here in a minute. But I would say, Barry, middle of April, they're going to probably wrap it up.
Yeah, early middle April, something. It's not going to be middle late. It'll be early middle April for them. And again, John's right. 2 scrimmages during spring practice. They, technically you can have, a spring game and all that stuff. They don't like to waste a spring game on a day, to be honest, because again, you don't want to expose anything you might be doing. More than anything else, they don't want to televise spring games because you get other schools that say, who is that kid? Do you see that kid? You see that move? You see him steamroll that running, that linebacker, Let's get some of our people in touch with some of his people behind the scenes and see if he might be interesting in transferring. So, that's part of it as well. The spring games are rarely televised anymore. And really, to be honest, John, they're not even really games anymore.
No.
I forget what Texas is calling them. I think they're calling it Longhorn Showcase or something like that, because by and large, it ain't going to be a game anymore. I think those days have passed. They are following, among other things, in the NFL model. They're following the NFL model in terms of spring practice, drills, stuff like that.
Yeah, and we've heard people, so I think Dion even brought it up recently. Well, let's do like the NFL and have kind of like a preseason game. But to me, Barry, that doesn't solve any of the issue either. I mean, people are still seeing what you got.
Yeah. And you don't want them to see what you got. The transfer portal is alive and well. And even for people that you know are happy where they are, basketball, football especially, but even if you got guys who love where they are and love their coach and love all this, somebody else comes along and says, we think you'll love our place too, and we'll pay you 8 times more than you're getting paid at this school. There's a lot, that has a lot to do with it now. And until we put some guardrails on it all, there's really nothing else that you can do about it. We mentioned yesterday was the opening day of the transfer portal for basketball, for men's basketball. Within 6 or 7 hours, 500 guys were in it. 500.
Woo.
It ain't
Wow.
playing time. It ain't just playing time anymore. I'm not starting here. I'm going to start there. A lot of it is guys who are stars, guys who are really good players. They're getting in, and they're conducting one of the most common business practices in the world, determining your market value.
Well, Barry, and it's like the games. Whether we're talking about Jackson Arnold or Ty Simpson, you're not going to hear Hugh Freeze or Kalen DeBoer say, "Oh, we found our quarterback. He's our guy. He's it." They're going to drag this out all summer long because they don't want these backups packing up and heading out somewhere else. Now, is that fair? Is that maybe the right thing to do? Probably not. But, that's gamesmanship. They're trying to stack their deck. Maybe a little unfair to the kid, but these coaches are going to do all they can, particularly at the quarterback position, to have 2 or 3 standing in line ready to go.
Yeah. John Dent, who has been thoroughly caffeinated today, evidently, because he's had like 16 chats on here. He says, Barry, that's a point, but all those players are known entities at this point. I don't agree with that. I think you might recognize a lot of the names, but a lot of these kids out there, you're looking at them and thinking, man, he looks like he put on 15 pounds of muscle right there. I thought he was underweight last year, but man, he looks good. He's been working it. Or I didn't know so-and-so was that good in the pass game. He's a pretty good catcher out of the backfield, or he's added, he looks like somebody we could use on more than just third down. Everybody is not thoroughly known entities. Everybody evolves. And some of these kids, are adding nuances to their game or weight or athleticism or whatever. And you're thinking, whoa, we weren't interested in this kid, but man, did you see him in the spring game? Golly, he looked good. What do you say we get our people in touch? That happens all the time.
Oh, you better believe it. Well, talking about getting in touch, we're in touch with our man, Travis Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide. Hey, Travis, good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing really well. I got to ask you this. This is totally out of the blue and unrehearsed. Somebody wanted me to ask you if you were at Sawgrass at any time over the last week and a half or so.
Absolutely. I was there the final round Sunday until the rain washed us out there in the final round of the players. But try to get out there every year. It's actually locally, it's probably my third favorite golf tournament to attend. I love the Furyk and Friends event. It's the Champions Tour event in the area, mostly because they play it at Timuquana Country Club, which is an old Donald Ross, really fun track. And then I like the Haight Invitational, which the University of North Florida conducts every year. And J. Sewell in Alabama are staples in that tournament. They play. It's at the old Sawgrass. It's at the old Sawgrass Country Club across the street from the stadium course, and it's very accessible. So the Players has become so big, you feel like you're trying to get to Disney World, right? Between parking, traffic, just the work to go to the Players is a little bit much for me.
You finally get there, and you've got themes to Chariots of Fire playing in the background.
It's a small world.
Yeah. I mean, did I park in Chippendale, or was it, Goofy?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And just like Disney, they get your money out there too. They get your money pretty good.
You better believe that. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I saw the crowds at the TPC. I mean, people call it the fifth major. Obviously, it's a great an event, great track, great test of golf. But, man, the crowds definitely show up for that tournament as well. And there's a great field. I mean, there's always a great field at the TPC.
And I thought Liv might hurt it because there's no John Rahm. There's no – it has lost some star power now.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the guys that got in late this year, I don't know if they get into the Greensboro Open and they're getting into the Players. But, hey, give a couple of those guys credit, like Bud Cauley, the former Alabama golfer. He got in, top 10. You saw this past weekend, played well again down at Valspar. So I know this isn't a golf segment, but I'm probably enjoying this more than my other visits. So.
Oh, well, we love it, man. We're all into
it.
golf here. We love the tour. And speaking of live, I mentioned this last week to Bear. I'm channel surfing, flipping around, stumble upon FS2. I didn't even know there was an FS2.
Right.
And the live tour is playing somewhere in Singapore. Dustin Johnson and some of these guys that are on the live tour playing in shorts. They got all these graphics on the screen. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this isn't what I want when I'm watching golf. I just don't get it.
Yeah, for a minute you think you're watching one of the financial news networks or something, with all the ups and downs and all that. But I'll say it again for the players. Like I kind of thought maybe the depth of field might hurt the players in terms of interest, but locally it is such a to be seen type event to attend. So it is now transcended really field strength, I think. I think they could almost play a Corn Ferry Field in there and call it the Players, and you'd still have the monstrous crowd.
That's dead on. I agree. Travis Reier with us, Reier on YouTube in its entirety. Friday, the 9-point win over Robert Morris. The 14-point win over St. Mary's for Alabama on Sunday in its entirety. How did they look to you, Travis, in terms of the potential to go all the way?
I thought the round of 32, that looked like the sort of engaged and tough team that it's going to have to be moving forward. I didn't get that sense as much against Robert Morris in the opening round game, and that's why they found themselves fighting for their lives with about 8 minutes to go and really to the finish of that game. And I thought Nate really challenged them after that. It was essentially, when we go against teams that we know are tough and physical and going to crash the glass, and we tend to respond well to that. But if it's maybe a team that doesn't analytically stack up that way, the human response isn't as good or hasn't been from this team. So I thought the win over St. Mary's was very encouraging from that perspective, because it shouldn't be a problem the rest of the way. And I know BYU's next, but he shouldn't have to ask that of his team at any point in the NCAA tournament. But now that he has, and he got it from them in a pretty dangerous round of 32 game, that shouldn't be on the table as much. Now, we can talk about their inability to knock down shots, especially from the perimeter. I think they kind of are who they are. We've talked about this. That really didn't change in the first two rounds. But they're still good enough, still deep enough, talented enough that if they play with the requisite toughness and attention to detail and physicality, they can get back to where they got last year.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Travis.
Yeah.
If they can find that shot, if Mark Sears can hit that three on a more consistent basis, really all of them, and they mix in not turning the ball over and playing good defense, yeah, they're going to be real tough to beat. And I think that's what it's going to take if they get by BYU, because they're going to have to be certainly at the top of their game to be able to knock a team like Duke off.
Yeah, I probably undersold Duke going into the tournament because of late what we've seen from Duke. Even at the end of K's time in Durham, they were sort of a glass jaw team, it seemed like. They could get to a point in the tournament just by being Duke, but they didn't have some of those attributes we're talking about in relation to Alabama as much. But this team, it sort of early on had the feel of Cooper Flagg and some other guys. But no, they're pretty complete. They're looking complete. They've got the size to match Alabama, and they're certainly skilled. And I think they've added some needed toughness. I still like Alabama's draw to get to that game. But yeah, I'm more in on Duke now, simply because they haven't just beaten teams of late. They've really, really hammered teams of late.
let's look a little bit at the field. If not Alabama, if not Duke, who looks good to you at the very end?
In this region?
In the whole thing,
in the whole thing, I mean, I've been riding with Florida the since before the SEC tournament, and really going back to the off season, I thought they were being way undervalued. Starting with bringing back just a guy that should be in the Player of the Year discussion. I don't know what Walter Clayton Jr. can do. I know Broom, I know Flag have been sensational. They're very deserving of where they're at in that mix. But if you watch Florida and you don't think Walter Clayton Jr. is a legit Player of the Year candidate, he did exactly what a first-team All-American is supposed to do down the stretch against UConn in that round of 32 game. And give UConn a lot of credit, man. You got to knock the champ out. You can't win on points. You got to put the champ down. And that's ultimately what it took from Florida to get UConn out of there in the round of 32. Now, Danny Hurley comes off like a buffoon pretty much the entire season. But
yes.
Credit his players, credit his team for having that makeup of a champion, even in a year where they weren't that kind of team. But, yeah, I mean, I'm still riding with Florida. I know some people look at it and say, well, you know, they only beat UConn by 2. Like I said, that's the 2-time defending national champions. UConn this year kind of reminded me of some Alabama teams under Saban in football, when you knew they really weren't probably the best team in college football, but you were going to have to beat them to get to where you wanted to go, and it wasn't going to be easy. And I think that's what Florida kind of ran up against with UConn.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I agree, Travis. I maybe haven't been on Florida as long as you have. I really got on them probably a week or two before the SEC tournament, but they look strong. They look really, really good. Vegas likes them as well. I thought it was interesting where the odds are today with Duke, Florida, Houston, and then Auburn. It doesn't seem like Vegas or the world is giving Auburn as much love as maybe they had earlier in the year. But obviously Auburn's still a very dangerous team, and a team that looking at where they are in the bracket now with Michigan coming up, and then the winner of Ole Miss, Michigan State, they certainly could be in there, fighting for it all, as most people have thought all year.
Yeah, and 3 teams left in that region that to me are kind of similar in how they get it done. But I think Auburn can answer that. They can answer the physicality. They can answer the size. To me, that region at this point is just more about Auburn than anything else, and that's understanding Izzo and his track record. But man, what about Ole Miss? They absolutely just took Iowa State. Watching that game and seeing Iowa, it was like the seeds were flipped. It was like
yeah.
Iowa State looked JV-ish compared to what Ole Miss had on the floor. And Chris Beard, we forget about Chris Beard in this sort of coaching universe we've got now in the SEC. But, for the issues he's had and the sort of turmoil he had to kind of work through, that dude can still coach basketball, man. And so that to me, that Auburn Ole Miss game is going to be Elite Eight caliber to me.
I told the story. I was in Milwaukee late last week for Troy's game against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, and I got there early on game day, and I caught 3/4 of the Ole Miss North Carolina game, and I've seen Ole Miss on TV, but man, they looked good to me. I am totally on board with you about that. Travis Reier is with us. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was gonna say, and what about Arkansas? I mean, I mean, here they are in the Sweet 16. People, saying Cal's done, and he certainly surprised a lot of people getting this far in the tournament.
Yeah, I'd say between Kentucky and Arkansas getting to the 16, it all worked out in the end, right, for both those teams.
Yeah.
And kind of reaffirmed that staying together for the kids isn't always the approach, right? So good for them. It worked out for both programs. Arkansas, that had to be sweet to Cal, though, to take Patino out.
Yeah.
You can say what you want, all this and that, but that had to make it especially sweet when you get coaches like that. And also kind of push Cal up into more of this rarefied air that we've kind of overlooked or forgotten about because of how his time at Kentucky ended. What is he now? He's one of a few coaches, or the only coach, or one of a few. I know Patino's done it. They're taking like 4 different programs to the Sweet 16 now. That's Hall of Fame worthy just right there.
Here's one of my favorite stats from the tournament already. Arkansas has already this year under Calipari won more NCAA tournament games than Kentucky did in the last 4 years of Calipari, where they won once.
Yeah.
So,
And the thing is, like Eric Musselman, whatever you think of that guy, he had Arkansas right there in the tournament every year, it seemed like. Musselman had that thing as a Sweet 16 caliber team just about every year he was there. So it just goes to show it's such a tournament sport. I know we've heard, I think Bruce Pearl refer to it as such in the last few days. It is.
It is.
If you can just get in, boy, the entire narrative for your season can change in one weekend. One weekend, you can go from underwhelming, underachieving to, well, it was a good year. Made it to 16.
And the other way as well. Travis, one final question here. As we get, normally this has been a big news stretch with spring football and everything. Can you explain from your perspective why it seems that spring football has changed so much in approach, and why, fans can't really expect the same flow of information and excitement in spring as they've been able to enjoy in the past?
I think that part of it is the lack of continuity from the end of one season to the start of another season, which is essentially spring football and the run-up to the next season. I think more and more fan bases don't exactly know who the heck their players are going to be, even this time of year. Remember, you would get excited because it was like, the season's over, but we know we're going to have these second and third year players coming back, and you could kind of ramp up and build up hope and expectations based on that. Now you don't. The day after the season ends, you're like, well, somebody let me know what the roster's going to be, So I think that's part of it. And so it's the lack of sort of continuity and the cohesiveness and just understanding that it's a program. It's not a program anymore. More so than even the NFL, it's just a year-to-year team. Because at least in the NFL, now you're seeing more one-year deals even in the NFL.
Right.
You're seeing these prove-it deals, they call them, one-year sort of deals. That's all there is in college sports now. Everything's a one-year deal. 6 months maybe, 3 months in some instances. So I think a lot of, for me anyway, I know, I'm like, when we get to August, kind of let me know. I keep up with it, obviously. I have to. But I'm more interested in August than I am spring, because then I'll know
who the team
what
is.
We're talking about in terms of the roster and those things.
I think it'll be, from what I understand, Travis, Alabama's first scrimmage is this Thursday. Be interesting to see what comes out of that.
It will. There's been rumblings about the quarterback position. I don't know how you get a strong sense enough to sort of put out there that, this quarterback's really surging ahead now, before you even get into scrimmage work. I understand every rep's important. I get all of that. But that's kind of what I've always put as the mile markers of what's truly important, those scrimmages, and really just, can you get through it healthy? It's important, there's no doubt, especially, again, with the newness that you have across your football team these days compared to previous years in terms of getting guys, acclimated to how you do things, your systems, all those things. I understand. But as far as like competition at positions and things like that, I haven't really changed on that in terms of let's get a scrimmage or two in, and then we can maybe talk about that.
Well, good stuff. At the bottom of our scroll, conversing with Travis Reier. It's got his information. Reier on YouTube. When they go to that channel and subscribe, what can they expect, Travis?
Probably disappointment, but I urge you to go there anyway. Underwhelming is an adjective maybe that comes to mind. No, it just we're gonna have some Bama talk there. Chase Goodbread's fresh from Cleveland. He did make his way to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so I'm sure we'll go deep on that. It's an incredible place. So we're going to talk some Bama hoops, some Bama spring football coming up here in the next couple of days. And then my buddy Brent Beard will do second helping, some SEC talk, 7 SEC teams to the 16. Oh, that was tough for the haters. The weekend, Saturday, Sunday was tough on the haters, man.
Yes, it was.
Go 7-1. They were tweeting their asses off Thursday and Friday, man.
Love it. I know it.
But you know what? They weren't working on the weekend. I can tell you that. They had a lot of them in the drafts on X, ready to go. Had them loaded. Like Fort Matanzas. It was like Fort Matanzas down here, when the Spanish were trying to defend the river and everything. They were ready.
I love it. It. Hey, now, should I mentioned this yesterday? Should Alabama get some bonus points for having to go from Cleveland to Newark? I mean, geesh.
Yeah, that's
crappier places.
That sounds like a Soprano storyline, doesn't it?
No kidding. Yes.
Doing a little business in Cleveland, and then we're going to head back to Newark.
Yeah, check those.
Yeah, that's something else. I guess they did it last year. That was a different deal going out to L.A. I kind of like it though because you played late Sunday, you play early Friday. And look, they're not staying at the Ramada in Newark. Okay,
no,
they're gonna be in some plush sort of environs, I'm sure. And hey, if I was a player, that'd be great with me. Let's just stay out here,
I like it. Travis, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, take care.
You too, buddy. Travis right on YouTube, Talking Tide, joining us here today as we broadcast this Tuesday show. I know we're heading to a break. We got the Phantoms Daily Dog coming up. We're going to go over the South Carolina Gamecock season for 2025. How many games can they win? We'll give you the win total on that. Gurn Jr.'s Victorland topic will yet to come as well. The sun kind of coming up a little bit. Maybe you can see me a little bit better. I see a boat in the reflection off the window. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Somebody's out there doing something in his boat. Maybe a little fishing this morning. Who knows? But we'll get right back at it here on this Tuesday edition of Longshore and McKnight.
Presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Why Hands? Okay. At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus,
Instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
All right, back at it here on this Tuesday, about 25 minutes past the hour. Great stuff from Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, Travis Ryer on YouTube, and Talking Tide on a Tuesday here with Longshore and McKnight. Obviously, the Sweet 16 has been the big hot topic, but I do understand Major League Baseball will yet again start another season.
Yep, they have not given up on it, although John can't understand why they just don't just throw up their hands and say, let's just stop. I mean, why do we continue this charade? I love it so much. Opening day on Thursday. They've had some games out in Japan, but this is the true one. Thursday, 2:30 and 2:05 in the afternoon. American League champion, the Yankees, take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Then later on, Atlanta at San Diego at 3:10. Chris Sale, the opening day starter for the Atlanta Braves. I'm kind of feeling the vibe. You know, the Dodgers have been spending so much money. I'm kind of feeling the vibe about the Braves in the National League East again. Another playoff spot for the Braves. Give themselves a chance. Got a couple of new players, including Jurickson Profar. And it's interesting to me that already today we have shown our versatility. Talked women's basketball. Sarah Ashley Parker scores 45 in an NCAA tournament loss for Alabama.
Yep.
Auburn gets a new women's basketball coach. His name is Larry Vickers. They hire him from Norfolk State.
Larry Vickers. I think I went to school with a guy named Larry Vickers. Huh.
Wasn't there somebody Neil Vickers?
Oh, yeah, that was Feinbaum's news guy. Oh,
that's
hilarious.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
that's
man,
right.
Vickers
This
was
ain't
great.
him. Yeah.
No, not Neil Vickers. No, yeah.
Our buddy John from Wetumpka, who's watching us from Madrid, Spain right now, was telling us about going to the bullfights and one of the matadors getting gored. Said he got gored twice, right in the midsection. Took him off in an ambulance. And he said he's surprised he survived. I don't know. I don't know if the Bulls keep score, because I mean every bull that goes out there is going to die. Basically, every once in a while they got to be hearing in their bullpen area there. Hey, I heard Enrico got one, man. Yeah. All right. Awesome. You know.
Yeah. I'm tired of this little guy waving that red.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm gonna get him today. Had enough of this business.
Go. Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
So we talked about that, and we talked Major League Baseball, and out of all of that, Major League Baseball is the one John has the least tolerance for. Yeah, we can talk women's basketball, You know, her dad was only a sophomore when he won the national or his defense won the national championship.
I'll say this, Barry, about Major League Baseball.
John says, let's go.
If I was good enough to play Major League Baseball, I'd like to play in San Diego. I said that about the NFL. I don't know why San Diego could not keep an NFL team. But San Diego's a beautiful place. You don't hear much about it. LA takes all the limelight. You don't hear about any crazy stuff going on in San Diego. That's in San Francisco, and it's in LA. San Diego's kind of doing their own thing. Well, it's about 100 miles south of LA, so it's not that far away.
Yeah,
right
well, it's not that far as the crow flies. I once had the challenge of driving up I-5 from San Diego to LA, and it was a moral victory to go more than 150 feet without having to stop. Worse.
Barry, I've made that. I have made that trek myself, and I made that trip years ago. My oldest child at the time was probably about 4
Oh, goodness.
4 or 5 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
And we flew to San Diego. Her mother was there on a layover. She was, of course, a flight attendant for Delta. And we were going to meet her. Coach Dye was on my flight from Montgomery
What?
to Dallas.
Why did I never hear that before?
Sat right across the aisle from Coach Dye. And we had some delays getting to San Diego, so we ended up having to go to L.A., and they were going to bus us down to San Diego. A lot of delays. We didn't leave Dallas till midnight, didn't get to L.A. till probably 1 or 2 in the morning. And I rented a car. And I remember she sat in the back seat. I buckled her in, and we drove to San Diego from L.A. down I-5 at 3 in the morning and got to San Diego in the hotel where she was staying. Knocked on the door, and Mom answered the door. The young Catter, my oldest, was ready to go to the San Diego Zoo. I said, baby, you got to let Daddy have a little sleep for a while. Let me get a couple hours in, then we'll go to the zoo. But,
Daddy's struggling right now.
Yeah, so, but San Diego is a beautiful
It is.
beautiful
Oh, my
city,
gosh.
and I've always wondered what happened with the NFL team.
They had a stadium issue. Jack Murphy Stadium was starting to fall apart, and they didn't want to do anything about it. You know, my luck, I mean, a family friend of ours used to be the manager of the San Diego Padres. He was from Burlington, North Carolina. His name is Jack McKeon, Trader Jack. Knew him and his wife and his kids and all that kind of stuff. And so I got some San Diego Padres gear, even though when I was a kid, I was a Dodger fan. So I always followed them. I mean, if I ever played, gosh, I'd love to play for San Diego. But you know me, they're going to stick me with the Indians or the Guardians, or I'm going to be in Minnesota or Detroit or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I just, you know, and I think Eli Manning was drafted by the San Diego Chargers and he didn't want to go?
Yeah.
Why do you not want to go play for the Chargers? I mean, Air Coryell, Dan Faust. I mean, a lot of great Lionel James played for the San Diego Chargers.
Maybe that's why Coach Nye was flying out there.
Well, he actually was
to
going
visit
to
the
Dallas,
little train.
and then he was going to like Montana from there. He just was on my flight from Montgomery to Dallas.
Okay.
He was not going to San Diego. He was making connections somewhere else. I was going to San Diego, and I'll never forget. We're sitting out there on the taxiway. It is raining so hard I can feel the plane moving a little bit. As it's on the ground on the taxiway, I'm thinking, are we taking off in this? Woo, geez. We sat there probably 2.5 hours before we took off, let that storm pass, which was probably smart. I mean, I'm not
no doubt. Hey, take your time.
I ain't complaining. Whatever the pilot wants to do, I'm in. It's his call.
I feel like we got to do this. I know we got a break coming up here, but man, I am getting pummeled. Can we please, before the break, can we get the Phantom's Dog of the Day, please?
Let's do it, Barry. Just get your scorecard ready from last night so you can check the score with us.
All right.
But last night, we had a game that was on ESPN, 9 o'clock tip. It was a late one for the Phantom. The Milwaukee Bucks on the road catching 3.5 at the Phoenix Suns. We had the Bucks plus 3.5. Can you let our audience know what the final score of that game was?
In the Valley of the Sun, also a beautiful place.
Yes, it is.
The game-winning jumper in the last moment by Devin Booker. Kevin Durant drops 38 for the Suns. They beat the Bucks 108-106. Final score.
106. That's a 2-point differential. I was getting 3.5. You know, Barry, I hate it that the Bucks didn't win the game. Really do. Hate it for them. But you know what? They covered for the Phantom, and that's what we're talking about.
It counts as a loss for the Bucks. Tough luck.
Tough luck for them.
Noogies. But it counts as a win for the Phantom. And that's really what this whole thing is all about. This ain't
Yes,
Milwaukee
it
Bucks
is.
radio or anything. This is Phantom radio or TV, and this is what we're after.
You are exact. So we had
All
a
right.
road dog last night. Tonight, we are going back to the National Basketball Association. This is also a late tip as well, where the Portland Trailblazers will be hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. Portland is a dog at home.
Well, the Cavaliers are all that. The Cavaliers right now, in case you haven't been paying attention, and if you haven't, shame on you. The Cavaliers come in with the best record, well, the second best record. Oklahoma City, out of the Western Conference, has the best record. Cavaliers have the best record in the Eastern Conference. They're having a terrific year, but they go into the matchup that John mentioned. They go into the matchup at Portland, 9 o'clock on some TV station out there.
Yep.
And Cleveland minus 6.5 in the NBA, John. That's a lot of points.
Yep, Cleveland laying 6.5 on the road tonight at Portland. Barry, this Cleveland team has lost 4 of their last 5. The Trailblazers have won 4 of their last 5. So just saying, we like the home team catching the 6.5 tonight. Portland plus 6.5 hosting Cleveland is the Phantoms' daily dog.
In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust.
Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody. About 22 minutes to the top of the hour. Tobias, man, he's chiming in this morning. The world wants to know if John has a mole, who will give him scrimmage intel. Tobias, I'm telling you, I do have a couple of moles. I just don't know if they can get there on Thursdays. I don't know if this is a Kalen DeBoer deal to kind of make sure people aren't talking when they shouldn't be.
Even then, I'm not sure you'll be able to get a lot out of it, even if there are people there, because very rarely anymore are scrimmages like full-blown, passes flying, licks being traded for an entire 4 quarters scrimmages anymore. The days of you being able to tell your buddies, yeah, I hear that I hear we got this kid. You have got to check him out. He is going to be something. Look, His name is Blake Barnett. Remember that name? Blake Barnett. I heard he was 13 of 17 in the scrimmage for about 229, 3 touchdowns. It ain't like that anymore. Those scrimmages are measured.
Defense, he actually did start the opening game of that year. He just
how long did he last? A half?
He didn't make it to the third series. I think 2 series, and he was done.
So those days of being able to, strut into your office and pour yourself that first cup of coffee, and everybody's like, "Say, Fred, what did you hear?
Yeah.
What did you? Hang on. Let me get a cup of coffee in me before I spill the beans." I'm telling you, those days are over. You're going to have to find something else at work to impress your buddies with.
Yeah. That's going to be tough. I got a feeling, though, I'm pretty confident I'm going to be able to get some intel. All right, here's the deal, Barry. I'm looking at South Carolina's win total for the coming year at 5.5. I mean, without even looking at the schedule, I'm thinking they're going to win more than 5.5 games.
Over.
But this is the number that came out a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was BetMGM. By the time we get to this season, like a week before, maybe month before, these numbers that we're using today are going to have changed in some. Not everybody, but there are going to be several that are changed. Barry, I think South Carolina is going to be one that'll change.
Well, the funny thing is I don't know what they're seeing. It makes me a little bit nervous because my opinion is so much different from Vegas's. Look, South Carolina last year was 9-4 with a little luck, as Paul McCartney and Wings would say. They could have been 11-2. Might oughta have won that Alabama game. Might oughta have won that LSU game in week 2. Otherwise, they'd be singing. And I think, again, 9-4 last year, John, I think they're a better football team this year. So, they cover the 4.5 easily from last year with a team that's not as good as this year's team. I don't get it. And their schedule, nice.
Yeah, they do. And there again, as we've been doing in this series of every team in the SEC,
right,
Barry, I think their non-conference schedule is manageable. They open up with Virginia Tech, a team that burned me last year. I was high on the Hokies, thought they were undervalued, and they just fizzled out. This game is in Atlanta, but I got to think they can beat Virginia Tech, and that's a good sign, a good start. South Carolina State's the next week. That's a win. Vanderbilt at home should be a win. So I'm thinking they can start out 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0, and I agree with you on all of those. That Virginia Tech one will tell us a lot. Get in on that total number of wins before Virginia Tech, because it'll be a Sunday game, Labor Day weekend, spotlight in the evening at Mercedes-Benz. After that, everybody's going to say, holy smokes, South Carolina looks good, and then that number's going to go up. So I got them 3-0 before they head to Missouri.
Yeah.
Flip a coin. No, I got to give a slight edge there to South Carolina. Then they got Kentucky
at Missouri here. I'm going to take Missouri because they're in Columbia, Missouri.
I got them 5-0 out of the chute. Do I? Yeah, I do. 5 out of the chute before the off week.
I've got them 3-1. Then they're going to beat Kentucky, so I've got them 4-1.
Yeah, I've got them 5-0 after Kentucky before the off week. Then they go to LSU. That's going to be a loss.
I think so too.
Yeah, LSU's going to be good. They host Oklahoma. They win that one. Then homecoming. Alabama is South Carolina's homecoming? I guess they remember really well that Stephen Garcia game from years gone by when Alabama still hasn't covered Alshon Jeffrey. And they're thinking, no, we're going to go ahead and throw them in as our homecoming game. I don't think they win that one. I do think Alabama wins there, but it wouldn't be the biggest shocker if they didn't. But smart money tells me Alabama's going to win that one. So they start 5-0. They are now 6-2 according to my ledger sheet.
I've got him because I've got him losing to Missouri. I've got him losing to Alabama. So, yep.
What do you got him with LSU?
Oh, well, LSU, yeah. Oh, yeah. Losing to LSU, losing to Missouri, losing to LSU, beating Oklahoma, losing to Alabama. So I'm at 3 losses.
Ooh.
And this is the stretch, Barry, where it gets a little interesting.
At
really,
Ole Miss.
LSU, Oklahoma, but then Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. That's a 3-game stretch that could really determine how this record's going to pan out.
That is 4 ranked teams in their final 5 games. Alabama at home, Ole Miss on the road, an off week before Texas A&M on the road.
Wow.
They host the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina, and they close out against Clemson. So they close out within the state of South Carolina, and their final 2 games are at home against Coastal Carolina and against Clemson. I got them going. I got them. Golly, they've got to win. They've got to win at Ole Miss or at Texas A&M. I can't see them winning both. I say they win at Ole Miss and they lose at Texas A&M. They beat Coastal Carolina, and then they beat Clemson at the end of the year. John, that is 9-3.
Yeah.
Way over the way.
I don't think they're going to go 9-3. I don't think they can, I think the worst I think the worst they can do, Barry, is 6-6. I think that's the worst they can do.
All right.
That
That's
still
fair.
gets them over the 5.5.
It does.
That's why I just don't think that that's why I just don't think 5.5 is going to stick. I don't think it's going to be there when we get closer to the start of the season.
Get it now.
I'm leaning, 7-5 still seems a little low to me. But based on this schedule, I'll say this: the best I can see South Carolina doing this year is 8-4.
Best
right now. 8-4 is the best based on the schedule that I'm looking at. 8-4 is the best I think they can do. I'm not sure they can win 9 games with that schedule. So I'm going to go 8-4, which is still way over 5.5. I don't know why people aren't giving the South Carolina any love. There again, I think by the time we get to the start of the season, this number is going to be higher. So I'm going over the number right now with South Carolina. And I believe you said you were too.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going way over. Way over. Well, we'll take a break right here. And when we come back, Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland topic wheel. We're going to hit that hard when Longshore and McKnight continues, presented by Bud Light.
Well, the Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers are really hot in college basketball, and so are the deals at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Alabama and Northwest Florida's largest volume Ram truck dealer is Stivers in Prattville. And at Stivers, they have the largest selection of Ram trucks priced at thousands less than other dealers. How about a 2025 Ram Bighorn 4x4 crew cab with savings of up to $15,000 off sticker price? Also at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, they have fantastic savings on the entire Jeep lineup, like the Wranglers and Jeep Grand Cherokees. Head over to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, where Price sells cars and trucks.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitcher's duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Get some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. About 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Before we get to Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland topic wheel, not bad news, but a scheduling change. Ralph Michaels is traveling tomorrow, actually heading to Vegas. He'll be at 37,000 feet while we're on the air tomorrow, so he'll join us next week for the Final Four. So unfortunately, we don't get Ralph's expertise tomorrow, but next week we will have it. CJ Duncan, of course, will be with us tomorrow.
Also tomorrow, the news just in. Tomorrow, of course, Troy Baseball plays an early game in Tallahassee against Florida A&M tomorrow. I will be on the show from 7 until 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow before I have to catch the bus. So I'll be there for half the day tomorrow. We have got 9 full minutes dedicated now to Chris the Bammer's favorite segment, Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland Topic Wheel.
Man, let's lock and load that topic wheel and see what is on it today.
Right. You've got 4.
Just the excitement. I cannot wait. What is on?
Yes.
Love it.
Here we go.
The wheel is loading. It is fast coming up. I see it spinning, or see it generating. We're trying to get it up on the screen. Is that what that means?
Yeah, that's what it is. Rabies. Rabies.
Rabies.
A fox with rabies attacks an Alabama hunter that prompts a state vet warning. A fox that later tested positive for rabies attacked and bit a hunter in Lowndes County. Lowndes County, that is?
That's west of Montgomery.
Yeah, that's it's not Marengo. What's in Lowndes County?
Hayneville, Fort Deposit, Lounsboro.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you go through Lowndes County on your way to Selma.
So that's right. That's right. I've done a game at Lowndes Academy before.
Yeah.
I had to do it in the back of a Ford.
I saw that
Ford Explorer. I did not.
I saw that article, Barry, and I'm very familiar with Lowndes County. As a matter of fact, did a lot of hunting in Lowndes County.
That's what everybody was talking about. Hey, we're hunting season starting and all that.
Yeah.
Watch out for this rabid fox.
I want to know, Barry, and I guess because I'm watching 1923, the Yellowstone prequel on Paramount, and in one of the episodes
with Helen Mirren,
Harrison Ford. Yep, and Harrison Ford. It's very good, very good. And in one of the episodes, one of the characters got bitten by a rabid wolf, and she's having to take these rabies shots, once a day or once a week or whatever. And as they portrayed it in the series, I mean, I guess if an animal has rabies, they're not afraid of anything, and they'll come up to a human being and bite them and not think twice about it. So I guess that's what happened with this fox. This guy's out hunting, and this fox just said, "The heck with you, I'm going to come bite you."
Yeah, they're not in their right mind, so to speak. So they'll do that. It's I've seen.
Not in their right mind. I know some people that aren't in their right mind. Does that mean they have rabies?
Maybe they have. Maybe they have rabies. But I've seen a rabid raccoon before. That's about it.
Ooh.
And of course, I saw Old Yeller when I was a kid. And
now, wasn't that the dispatcher that radioed the sheriff in Live and Let Die about some lady's got a dog that's foaming at the mouth, and she wants him to come over and shoot it for her. Comes over the bayou in the boat.
C.W. Pepper. Yeah. Oh, hey. He'll get his. That's.
Yes. Somebody
that's
said something about a
exactly
rabid dog that wanted the sheriff to come shoot it.
okay. So that's all we can get out of rabies on that topic. Let's move forward.
But I did see that article, Gern. I did. I know which one you're talking about. Okay, let's do it. Spin it. All right. What we got here?
Yeah.
Cam Ward, I think it's pro day.
Yes. A lot of people, of course, the Miami quarterback began his career at Incarnate Word and then went to Washington State. And last year at Miami, he balled out at Miami. They had a pro day, and evidently his pro day was like off the charts. He was already the prospective number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Evidently, what they're telling us is that it's pretty much all over but the chatting. I think Tennessee gets the first pick in the draft right now. They may shift around. Tennessee badly needs a quarterback, and evidently Cam Ward has really, really helped himself and made himself a lot of money because so there you go.
Yeah, good pull there, Gern, with a little write-up about Cam Ward. I saw some clips yesterday on SportsCenter about that. So, yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
A couple of more to go here on the Gern Jr. Victoryland 777 topic wheel on this Tuesday. Chris the Bammer says, what, only 1 hour of Barry tomorrow? Hey, Chris, you got to take what you can get, buddy.
That's right. I wish I was more of me. There's only one.
Yeah. All
right, here we go.
Spin it, Barry. Spin it, Gern. Let's see where it lands. So my first thought here.
I know.
Didn't Lindsey Vonn have a relationship with Tiger Woods?
I knew he would say that. I knew he would say that. Lindsey Vonn, the most successful American women's skier ever. She had an injury. She retired, and then she came back at the Stifel Sun Valley World Cup Finals Women's Super G.
Wow.
And she was on the podium in second place in that one, which
Did she have a terrible knee injury?
Yeah, well, she's had bad knees for a long time, but congratulations to her. She is on the podium on the World Cup. The record that Gern flashed up there. She is the oldest woman ever to achieve that feat.
Wow.
And her comeback has really been justified, kind of like Tiger's when he won the Masters. Although it's confirmed. One of our chatters had pointed this out. It is confirmed that Tiger is dating some Trump person. Somebody.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Tiger's dating one of the president's.
Isn't that what we saw? I mean, there was something. One of our chatters
was it Don Jr.'s ex-wife?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was somebody's ex-wife. I'm not familiar with all the family or anything like that, but yeah. So Tiger's making the rounds.
Hey, as long as he just stays away from Denny's, he'll be in good shape. I don't know though. Who's playing his best golf?
It was Perkins. It was Perkins.
Wherever he was going,
Perkins.
He was playing his best golf during that period.
This is what John calls the Seve Ballesteros syndrome. God rest his soul.
All right, Gern, let's spin the last one just to make it official. I believe it says Troy. We got to spin it nonetheless. There we go. Barry mentioned Troy baseball, early pitch tomorrow. Who they playing? The Rattlers?
Tonight, Troy plays Wofford. Trojans are number 22 in the country, ranked in the top 25. They've got the Wofford. Remember, John, we talked about this with Wofford.
Ooh.
The Terriers.
Terriers
tonight at Riddle Pace Field, 6 o'clock. I'll have TV and radio. Half-price tickets in all areas for that. Then tomorrow, I'm only on the show from 7 until 8 because we catch the Troy baseball bus to Florida A&M. The Trojans play in Tallahassee tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. Also tomorrow, and I was on the verge of asking Brian Matthews about this, tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Troy Softball Complex, the Troy Trojans softball team will host Auburn.
Oh, wow.
Philip Marshall covers Auburn, and I did not realize this. Philip's latest was what has happened to Auburn softball. John, they used to be pretty good. They are, last I checked, 0-9 in the SEC.
Barry,
it might be Troy's night tomorrow night.
It could be. Now, Philip was very high on this coaching duo that was hired a while back. Real high on them, but I don't know. It's been a slow start. Maybe they can change their...
Hate it for you.
I mean, I do. I mean, hopefully things will turn around, and, I can hear it now. Will Auburn softball win?
Only time will tell. Get your tickets at TroyTrojans.com/tickets. Softball is free of charge. Baseball got some ticket prices, half-price tickets in all areas. TroyTrojans.com/tickets.
All right. Well, I tell you, time will tell tomorrow what we'll be up to here on Longshore and McKnight. I will be back in network control tomorrow.
Yep.
Barry will as well for the first hour. We've got several guests lined up for tomorrow as well. Gurn Jr.'s Victorland Topic Wheel, the Phantom's Daily Dog. We'll skip our, maybe we'll do it in the first hour.
That sounds good.
Obviously, a team, I guess it's Tennessee's up next, I would think, if we're doing it in alphabetical order. So we'll go with the Tennessee Vols tomorrow and their win total. But we'll have a lot going on for you. And we certainly look forward to having you on the program. Our River Region Straw chat line, our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox, longshoreandmcknight@gmail.com. And Barry, of course, our association with Yellowhammer News. Check it all out at yellowhammernews.com.
Our thanks to Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, for dropping by. Travis Ryer on YouTube. Our producer, Gurn Jr. For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.